Hey guys, we're here in San Luis Obispo today, hanging out with Butch Boswell of Butch's Guitar Repair, and just talk a little bit about what Butch has done and how he's come to have this incredible establishment. And Butch is also one of our supporters here in town, and we'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So, Butch, can you tell us how you got started in the repair business?
Yeah, I was going to school here in San Luis Obispo and going to Cal Poly for an engineering degree and needed money, so needed a side job and started working at the local guitar shop. And my boss at the time realized that I had a kind of a knack for handling instruments and restringing and doing things like that, and it just was kind of a natural evolution. I'm real techie and going to school for engineering, but have the musical background as well. And before I knew it, I was doing most of the repairs for the shop. And through the years, I've relocated to different towns and worked for bigger guitar companies, and lived out on the East Coast for a while and worked for kind of a famous guitar shop out there. And always wanted to come back to San Luis Obispo, so my wife and I relocated and started our own thing, and here I am.
I understand that you're a Taylor and Martin authorized repair service center.
Sure, among others, yeah.
That's kind of a big deal to have a company like, the
is.
biggies say, hey, when you're in town, go see Butch.
It's very helpful, yeah.
Can you tell me how that all came about, what it takes to become an authorized service center? Yeah,
when you're starting out, you have to go to the factory and kind of like take a test. But for me, first of all, Taylor, I worked at Taylor. So I worked at Taylor for a couple of years, and I was a warranty repair person there, and did a lot of the building and stuff on some of their higher end models. And so when I started my own thing, they didn't question it at all. They just got me set up, and it was a go. And with Martin, through the years working at different establishments, I sold a lot of Martin guitars and got to know all the people at Martin. Our dealer would come and see me doing work, and it was his recommendation. He said, let's get you set up as a warranty guy. Obviously what you're doing is well within the scope. So, and have had a real good relationship with both of them for years now. So
cool.
Yeah.
Who else are you authorized for?
Well, kind of unofficially for Santa Cruz Guitars and Collings Guitars, and by unofficially I just mean they don't really have outside warranty repair guys, but if somebody calls them and they're in this area, they absolutely will send them to me to look at the guitar, go over it, and sometimes repair it. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I understand that you've actually started building your own acoustics.
I have, yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
I could talk a lot about that. But, yeah, I started building guitars. I would get a lot of people coming in the store through the years, and their question was always, well, are you a luthier? And I technically had to say no, because up to that point I did tons of repairs, and I would do really big stuff, restorations, neck resets, full refinishes if necessary, and big projects. And so I always considered myself a luthier, but technically I wasn't. So part of it started by me just wanting to be able to say, like, oh yeah, I'm a luthier.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so I built a little prototype guitar, and really enjoyed it. I just fell in love with the whole process, and really fell in love with the whole process of doing things by hand and using hand tools and hand planes and chisels, and so that kind of set it off, and I finished the prototype, and I got a lot of people interested, and I started this batch of 7 guitars that I'm building right now, and I'm midway through that, and just really trying to find a way to kind of segue more into building.
So. I see some pretty sweet bodies over there.
Yeah. This is ancient Brazilian rosewood. A lot of people say old growth, but this is truly ancient Brazilian rosewood. This is about 300 years old. It came out of a church that was built in a small town or a small village in Brazil in the 1700s.
That's amazing.
It's amazing to me. I get involved in stuff like this, and to think that that tree started growing thousands and thousands of years ago. Like
Yeah.
what a journey that's been to get to this point.
Get to here, yeah.
You know, so you know what I mean. You've built lots of guitars. So
yeah, that's like a real privilege to
it is
responsibility.
I kind of feel honored to do it. You know.
Yeah.
So this is a little Tripolo, a little Brazilian Rosewood Tripolo, Adirondack top, German bracing. This is all hand built, all hide glue. Everything is done here in my little 900 square foot shop.
So can you tell us like what you consider to be like the biggest challenges that you face when you're amplifying a guitar?
Well, as far as installation, none of it is very challenging, but the challenge oftentimes for me is pairing the right pickup with the right customer and the right situation that they're going to be playing in.
That's really smart.
Yeah, those are questions I always ask. Like, well, I try to get to know the customer, get to know their budget a little bit, get to know how they're going to be using it. If they're just going to be playing at home in their room, they're obviously not going to need something that's as boutique-y as someone who's going to be playing in front of 1,000 people or playing coffee shop venues all across the country. But so the challenge for me, I guess, is pairing. Sometimes,
Yeah, I understand completely what you mean. We get calls all the time about that's the first question we ask is, well, what do you play and how do you play it?
What are your intentions?
Yeah, where are you going to use this thing?
Yeah,
because we make everything. We make a broad range of options
for
different musical situations, and one isn't always the best choice for the other.
Sure. Yeah, and same thing. I have all of your product in my shop, be it the M1 or the Element or the Element VTC and so there's a lot of things to choose from, and so you got to find the right one for the right player.
So recently we've come out with the Anthem.
Yes, you have.
And for everybody that doesn't know what the Anthem is yet, it's a mic pickup combination system that has a new slant on how to use a mic. Historically, when anybody's ever added a mic to a guitar, you've only been able to use a little bit of it. In most musical situations, an internal mic inside of a guitar just flat doesn't work, feeds back like crazy, and so people have gone to pairing them with undersaddle pickups or magnetic pickups and stuff.
Right.
And the biggest issue has been you could only use just a little bit of it. So maybe you got like 60-70% pickup, and maybe if you're lucky, 15 to maybe even 30% mic.
And even when you did use it correctly, it didn't sound like the guitar anyway.
Yeah.
The mic, where it was located, and locating with a gooseneck or however you wanted to mount it was always an issue too.
Yes.
It was always kind of almost an inappropriate location.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so what we've done with the Anthem is we've engineered a system using this microphone here that mounts inside of the guitar right underneath the bridge here that has flipped the equation. This microphone captures everything from 20,000 cycles down to 250 cycles, which is about, in octaves, is 70% of the frequency response of the guitar.
Yeah.
And so it's basically, the holy grail for us has always been, how can you get your guitar to sound like you got a mic on the outside of the guitar, but be able to use it live.
Right.
And you know how bad the inside of a guitar, acoustic guitar sounds.
Right.
It's really pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And so the trick has always been, how do you get a mic inside that you can use like it's a mic outside, but it doesn't feed back on you.
You're right.
And it becomes practical.
Sure.
So we engineered this microphone. It's a special kind of microphone that we have a patent application on. And what it's doing is it's canceling out all reflected sound inside the body. So all it hears is the first generation of sound waves that are actually coming off the top itself and in a large area of the top. So in essence, it's like having a mic aimed at a close mic aimed at the guitar top from the outside,
Right.
because it kills the box.
Okay.
And so we have
no standing waves, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It kills all the echoes and standing
Sure.
waves and stuff in there. So we've been able to take the box out of the equation, which has allowed us to run the microphone down into areas where the microphone would normally require massive EQ and still sound bad,
Right.
but still have it sound very natural and appropriate. Then we roll it off right at the edge of where the guitar starts to feed back, which is around 200 cycles.
Right.
And then we use the pickup below that as almost a subwoofer.
For the past 10 years, I haven't even really had as an option in here any pickup with a microphone piezo combination that I would even want to sell, because they just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big development. I've installed a lot of them already, and when customers ask me, well, what's the big thing, you know, I tell them briefly what you just said, but I compare it to the iPhone and the development of the iPhone, and how everybody now has it completely changed the pickup game. You know, so it's a good thing you got a patent going on. Yeah.
What kind of experience and what kind of feedback have you been getting from your customers on the installations?
A lot. I've been getting a lot of feedback, and I mean, it's hands down good. It's by far the pickup I recommend the most now, be it the SL or the full version. It was so much so that I mean, everybody that I was installing it for would either call or email or come in personally to tell me and reassure me, like, you're right, this pickup is incredible. It's everything you said it was going to be and more. And I've been dealing with some very big professional artists, and all of which are blown away by the articulation and the responsiveness of it. It really is. One guy said it's like having your acoustic guitar in two places at once.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which I think is a good way to describe it. It really is an accurate representation of what your guitar sounds like. I'll sit here with customers, and they'll sit in my stool here, and we'll plug it in, and I mean, it is as close to how that guitar really does sound as I think you can get, or certainly that anyone has gotten to this point.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, before it was, I always called pickups an electronic interpretation of an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
It's not really, you know, the only way to get a guitar to sound like your guitar is with miking, and oftentimes expensive miking. Mm-hmm. And one guy that I installed this for even prefers to use your microphone over his go-to recording microphones.
Fantastic.
So, I mean, and before I would never recommend someone to plug in direct for a good recording of an acoustic sound. So that says a lot, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we thought that would be a good feature of this, is that in the kind of the studio world where people have to get in and get out.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it's not the most critical recording ever, but this actually becomes a viable tool for recording.
Absolutely.
And especially the home recordist, where you never know when a cat's going to jump on the trash can when you're right in the middle of the very best cut you ever did.
Yeah.
And so that the mic being inside gives you a bit of isolation from that external mayhem.
Sure. Yeah.
You can find out much more about Butch and what he's up to on his own website, which is
www.butchesguitarrepair.com. I have a blog that I upkeep as far as my builds go, and current projects section, current repairs, restorations, all kinds of good stuff to check in there every once in a while. So.
Well, thank you very much. I've really appreciated sharing this time with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you guys for being here.